Blessings and welcome forward to Reasonings right here at the Trail Life. I'm your host, the Great Owl, in the presence of my co-host, Brother Ramon Singh.
Perfect love.
Perfect love. Brother Singh, we just finished an amazing series on the attributes of love. And, we thought, what better way to move from the understanding and the deep introspection upon the attributes of love than to move forward in self-awareness. Because the tenets of love, being more awakened within us, is allowing us to see deeper dimensions of being in the truth, especially when it comes to the fact that love, in one of its essence, does not rejoice at wrongdoing. So one of the things our channel has always been very strong on, as far as we are humanly able, is that we are very much concerned with the presentation of truth, of true dichotomy in all the information we present. And the topic of self-awareness is one of the most vast topics spoken about over all the ages, from papyrus writings to the modern day, on the digital spectrum on the internet. Self-awareness has so much codified under it, so much that is expected in that research, in that investigation, in that dichotomy. But as we go into self-analysis, we're going to find that part of self-awareness is that ability to analyze the existent experience of self. And so, the first thing I would like to bring forward is the fact that for us as Aboriginals here in Jamaica, the information that we were given, with which we were to furnish the idea of self-identity, was falsified, tainted, altered, total misrepresentation of anything that is truthful. And so as I dive into that in my own personal research and investigations, as well as my own journey, I realized that this isn't something that is written in a book per se, and I'm talking about what is the end result of all the analysis, of all the research. That awareness of self, I have come to understand, is unique to me. And as such, when we start approach this topic now, we have to make that clear. Because a lot of people, Brother Singh, are being edited, are being constructed into a false narrative of who they are, especially if you're Aboriginal. Notwithstanding that this not only applies to Aboriginals, but I'm speaking in the essence of self-awareness. It has to do with the application of your actual existence. And so, self-awareness, it is quite interesting. And we're going to return to my takes on it. But Brother Singh, self-awareness, what comes to you as that word, sound, power resonates through your frequency?
Yes, Brother Sage. Self-awareness. To be aware of self, To be fully aware of one's self. As you said, the ancient writings, know thyself.
Yes.
You see me? So, if you know thyself, then in essence, you should know what you really, your main focus in life, your goals, and you know your habits and change them into good habits. Change your bad habits into good habits. You see me? So, pay attention to self. Know thyself. Know what you like. Know what you don't like. Know what is good for you. Know what is bad for you. And take the action required, because it's a thing to know, I say, no, this is bad for me. But I know if you take the action required and say, all right, stay away from this because it's bad for me. So I'm more than just knowing, is actually doing the right thing. You see me? In knowing self.
Absolutely.
Knowing with thoughts. Many times we as light, the Christ light, was supposed to shine. A darkness in our mind, darkness in our heart, hatred in our mind, hatred in our heart. You see me? So we have to pay attention.
Absolutely.
Self-awareness. You see me? We cannot judge and point finger while three more point back at us. We point one finger, you know?
Yes.
Three more pointing back.
True.
As I say, as the Bible says, we have to take the beam out of our eye.
Yes. I was thinking
Before we are tell our friends, say, take that dust out of your eye.
Yes.
You try to correct your friend of a little matter.
Yes.
While we need correction big time because for matter even more serious than theirs. You see me?
Absolutely.
Go through.
The issue is when we now seeking the self-awareness now, when we go into the depths of analysis, one of the things that becomes apparent is what tool or what form of analysis is ensuing in your being. I found that when we, being here at Real Life, we had deep questions on origins, presence, and being, what some would call purpose. And because of this deep dichotomy we had every day, reasoning between ourselves, along the depths of our own internal self-awareness to come out, certain things became deeper and deeper in our awareness. Number one, when we analyze self, we recognize that there were portions of self that are not ontological, are not empirical, they're not actual. What they are impositions, things that are placed in us. We have been edited, we've been deconstructed and reconstructed into a false narrative. The narrative is the nativity. The nativity is where you get the word native from. And the nativity is how it is that the man and the woman came together and create the child. And the narrative is how man, woman, and child live and create the experience. And so that in observation becomes the narration of the narrative, which is the experience of self and family. So all self-awareness and self-identity is born to nation, state, and family. This is where identity is born. So why am I saying this? Now if you're diving deep into yourself and you're realizing that, please stay with me. You were told, one, you came from a different landmass to another landmass, and as such you had no connections to the landmass where you are, and you were told the landmass you came from was backwards and inhuman, without gnosis or without cognitive understanding of life, which is an absolute lie. However, we were told this. So when identity was being born in us, we said, I am African, and I am Rasta, and I am African. And so then we begin to look through the narrative as it's been presented by who? Not ourselves, but by others. These interpretation in these books that has been written.
True.
And these history of anthropology and archaeology that told us that absolutely everything that our ancestry did, they didn't do, and ascribed it to others, ascribed it, as a matter of fact, to themselves. This has a trigger mechanism in identity crisis.
Yes, sir.
Because now you start thinking, what's going on here? You're saying, I'm not from this land that I am currently, and my grandmother, my great-grandmother, and great-grandfather is here. You tell me I'm not from here. You tell me where I'm from is backwards and without knowledge. Then I come later on and find out that it has knowledge and has wisdom. And so I know something was done to me. So I realized that I was growing up in the image that was fed to me, an image that was falsified to satisfy somebody's domination over me. And so then now, here's a point I truly want to make. When self-awareness is wrapped up in that, you become aggressive. And aggressive don't mean anti-violence. Aggressive in your stance of awareness. Some say you become militant because now you're abrasive to all that's being presented as truth. You say, listen, man, I don't know, say this guy they're telling you about is just a cracking liar, man. I know what's going on here. I know what they did to we, us, I, them. You understand me? I know. So now you're so abrasive that even when there's truth there, you won't accept it. Even when knowledge has advanced into the present ethos, you won't accept it. And so we were forced to look at ourselves as an ancient relic that was broken and needs repair. I ain't broken just because of what my ancestors went through. I is broken because I fail to love myself based upon the gift of my life, and I have been edited, I've been programmed into thinking of myself as broken, disenfranchised Africans enslaved in the West, brother, see. Non-descendable, without estate, without dignity, without human presence. That is what we're fighting against. That is what we were told. And it starts a battle in our soul. And to this day, I'm still removing things that is not in sync with the actuality of myself, which is a living, breathing person in the living cosmos, here in terra firma. It doesn't matter what date, year, month you want to ascribe to it in the human understanding. I'm a living person, and our self-awareness starts with knowing that this is home. How we treat home, we treat ourselves. If we treat home with disdain and disrespect, disregard, the environment will treat us with disregard. If we take lies unto ourselves as truth, we're going to have mental neuroses, psychosis, emotional crises of the heart and the mentality when you are faced with others standing up in front of you in the image of yourself but looking completely different, telling you that you're somebody else. Self-awareness is deep, brother Singh, and as such I'm imploring the individuals who watch this channel, don't just codify your identity along religious terminology because of functions and practice, because we who worship in spirit and in truth. Your individual cultural family experience, which is the familiarity of your soul, is very important in your self-awareness. You do not need the highly plausible, debated, presented arguments to understand yourself and to know that you are loving and to know that you are to be loved and to know that you are kind and to know that you are to be treated kindly, brother Singh.
Yeah, it's one thing to know your personality, your character, you know, your demeanor, your expressions, but it's the next thing to know your roots, as you perfectly say, you know, your ancestors with true roots. As we always say, if you don't know your roots, then you don't know where you're going.
Absolutely not.
You're not in firm foundation of self. You're like a little garbage bag in the breeze. And anywhere the breeze blows, that is where the garbage bag goes. Because it's not firmly rooted. You see me? So we need to know with true self, of true ancestors, our true story.
Absolutely.
Our ancestral story. I'm not even like say history anymore. You know?
True, I know this.
Our true story. You know? Because we living here and now in this modern society is not paying attention to where our ancestors are coming from. We're only paying attention to where we can get the next money, where we can pay our bills, moving on, you know, activities of life, you know. But if we don't know true his story, we are nothing. We can achieve all we want to achieve in life, but if you don't know your true ancestral story, it is like nothing.
Something is lacking.
Yeah, because our ancestors have a mission.
Yes.
We are the bloodline
Yes.
of the Most High, children.
Yes.
You see me? Adam and Eve,
Yes.
children. You know, Noah and his sons, bloodline. Are we that? Everybody upon earth. Are we that? We are family, a blood family. We might look different. The whole of we are family, same way. We are come from the same family. You see me? So we need to know, say, I same family. So we don't need no separation and say, okay, you black, you yellow, you white, and we separate. No, the whole of we are family, and we must learn to live in peace. We don't need no whole heap of destruction all over and fight each other over resources and power. If we know ourselves, we would war because we are family. If we know ourselves, would our priest say, our father of creation, and him we supposed to worship if you truly know yourself.
Yes.
If you truly know your history, your story, your ancestral story, we know say the creator we're supposed to be worshipping. All of a sudden we start worship house, car, money, fame, you know, Instagram stories, you know how much likes they get. And them thing the people start worship nowadays.
The modern identity.
Yes, I.
It's like if it's everywhere, people are immersed into it and it's absorbed into it. And the reasons why I've always thought it important to know your kindred and know your tongue, know your place, is that while it is that we are a human family, what is essential in the harmony of a human family is a statement that says none is left behind. How you take care of your own house shows how you take care of the greater home, which is our planet, our plane, terra firma. The wars on the plane over the last, 3,000 to 4,000 years in different increments have taken its toll on identity politics, geopolitics, and so the earth has been divided amongst these staging grounds of conflicts, some on a racial level, some on religious level. Some are non-racial and non-religious, but are just a battle for resources. Why again these things are important in that when we put together the true gnosis of self, in acknowledging truth, we cannot deny the contraveniences of truth that is meant to distract us from our awareness of it. So the ideology of coexist is this notion of bringing together all these different religious sects and groupings and faith under one ideology, and as such losing thousands of years of individual identity. And so this one world globalist idea of identity is to say, yes, we are all from one family, which is the human family, but the human family through time and space has been placated into different groupings that have organized themselves amongst the familiarity. And that's where the narrative is, because people who are from the cold regions will not have all the ideas, philosophies, behaviors and attitude from people from very arid regions, right? So there is a difference yet an indifference, but yet there's a similarity. History might not acknowledge this. However, ancient heritage acknowledge this. So that is why we were always happy to welcome a fellow peaceful nation to come and coexist and share in the cultural expression, even though sometimes it was far different from our own. However, the modern identity that is talked about on the Instagram likes and the periscopes and the this and the that and the signals is that it brings everybody into one political correctness. This is what I'm talking about. The kinematic, the cinematic, the edit upon the superimposition. It's bringing everybody to this one ideological space. I'm a Christian, I'm a follower of Christ. That means that I follow ancient Byzantine that are draconian rules and ideas of Kurjima and doctrines, or I follow Protestant, Martin Luther ideology and religious ideology, or I am a modernist and I'm using the Christian ones for obvious reason. It's not a exclusiveness to Christian, right? And I'm of the modern ilk of a Mormon, and I'm bringing about a more refined ideology. And now we coexist, and what we're doing is destroying people's culture, people's heritage, and bringing a globalist idea, something that has nothing to do with the actuality of the living persons. All of us are born into a family, and if you speak Dutch, you're from a Dutch land. Deutschland is German. You're from Belgium, right? If you're Dutch, right? And if you are from Jamaica, you're Patois, and them say you're Jamaican. But the fact is, we're Aboriginals, we're Taino. We aren't as they are described. We should determine who we are. That means the narrative out there should come from us, not from what we read in the book, not from what our tenureship Professor Emeritus is about. It should come from the actuality of the experience of your ancestors according to their actual experience, not an interpretation thereof, not an idea of it, not a connotation, but from denotation. And so anytime identity is about one world, one global, it could never be good, because it's taking away your heritage, your actual experience. And those who gave you life, we didn't come of ourselves. So identity could not be born in what we read online or what we were taught in so-called grammar school, middle school, high school, high school, college. That has been regurgitated information that is specific to an idea of nation state that is not ours, that we were obliterated militarily, culturally, spiritually by these people who coming now to tell us we're all one, we're all beautiful, one people. We know we're beautiful, we know we're one, but we're in the image and the likeness of our Creator, with his black and comely, hey, you understand, which is like burnished brush, the skin of the burning furnace. So I know who I serve and in whom I have my faith and my destiny. I will not edit myself into the superimposition of white Jesus, of Cesar Borgia. I will not play into Romanesque, Romanov ideology, right, or Tartarian ideologies. I will not play into any of those mind games, because I know these are all edits at some point along our awareness. And the living person is right here now with the mind and the spectrum to research, to investigate, to appreciate your great-grandmother, your great-granduncle, to love the hymnals in church, to love the rhythms and the chants at the tabernacle, to go into the avenues and byways and learn from the original artists that brought the reggae music, and the gere, and the mento, and the skia, right? And the calypso, and the soca, okay? And all these cultural expression of the ghost dance, the true people who are the original Hebrews, to live that heritage, not in the light of the Roman Empire, not in the light of these admiralty laws, not in the light of these slavedom and slave ship. We have to emancipate our minds, as Bob Marley said, from mental slavery. None but ourselves, brothers, he said, and sisters, can free our mind. No one but yourself can be aware of yourself.
Yes, all right.
Gotta say.
Yeah, and that reminds me of Haile Selassie, when the Rastafarians ask, can we repatriate to Africa, please? You know? And Selassie said to them, liberation before repatriation. You see me? So you must say, liberate your mind, liberate your family, liberate your community, yeah man, liberate your country, liberate your nation.
Yes.
Before you can even go to Africa with a non-liberated mind. He must say, don't come over Africa with a non-liberated self and a non-liberated nation. Because what happened now? The last time we researched Shashamane, that's the land given by Haile Selassie as a land for Africans to repatriate to, Africans overseas.
In the diaspora, yes.
So anybody overseas
Yes.
who want to live in Ethiopia, Shashamane, they can go and apply and there's land for them to live. Jamaicans went over there and what happened? They got deported. They go over there with crab in a barrel mentality.
Wow.
The same slavery mentality, the same hating each other, fighting each other, non-liberated self.
Wow.
They get deported, sent back to Jamaica. Them not ready yet. You can't go over there with a non-liberated self, thinking that you're going to be liberated. You have to Selassie said liberation. Rasta people, liberation before repatriation.
Wow. It goes deep into the essence that if you're not sure on who you are and you go into another man's country who is aware of himself and then tell him he is someone else and hence you are someone else and almost to say he is in your place, that is lunacy. Because we have been taught a false narrative, a pedagogy, a syllabus directed at basically de-evolving us, causing us to lose memory of telemetry of experience we previously had. Now epigenetics talks about our trauma, but epigenetics, we are actually alive now. Heartbeat telegraphics is not like epigenetics. It doesn't speak about our trauma. Heartbeat telegraphics says there is an identity, there is information that is in your ancestry that is passed down, irregardless of how many generations later, that is passed down from original man and woman, that carries information on experience, on purpose, and human existence. It is your telemetry, it is your blueprint, it is your guidebook which informs attitude, nuances, and behavior that creates the uniqueness we call personality. So within us, from generations of ancient Israel, all the way down, way before these name signatures, way before nomos taxis, way before the structure of Hegelian science, long before the Magna Carta, we had an ancient system. We had the elder system, now called restorative justice. We had a way in which our societies were equitable and delineated amongst right calibration. That has been retained in us. And as one of my teachers would say, it comes out functionally as a creativity because such high level of sequential calculation is not appreciated in its full essence. It is edited, and when you go towards academia, they edit it out of you. So it takes a creative soul to retain that memory and to actualize it in the medium like the Taj Mahal to represent that memory, that recollection. Awareness and self-identity isn't just born in now. But where we are now is its manifest reality of all of that experience. Because all of it came to now. It's in us. It's ineffable in us, people. And when you become aware that within you is a contiguous connection to Adam Kadmon, to Nikibu Kadmon, Tarume Charu, then you recognize, alas, what was the gifts of Adam Kadmon and Nikibu Kadmon? To be created in the image and the likeness of Yod He Vav He, which is black and comely, to have melanin as our energy manifest source, espiritu, not carbon burnt energy, spent energy, stored energy, but living active energy that within us is the memory of paradise. To name the plants, the environments were colored with our understanding. That is still within us. That is our identity, not just edited into the Abrahamic understanding of the Abrahamic faiths, not just edited into postmodern analysis upon the Abrahamic faiths. It is actual in us. It is literally actual in us. We live this every single day, and a lot of us don't appreciate that we have this gift within us. Immediately the Spirit is saying to me, speak of the issue of the talents. Just before I move back to you. Some got 3 talents, some got 1. But whatever it was, how they dealt with it was what caused their eventual outcome when the judge came, right? What you put in does come out. What you start with, you end up with. The one who said to have 1 feared that he had not enough. Aboriginals, a lot of times in this world, coalesce to a false identity, just like that person, because they believe they do not have enough. They believe that they need to hide this one soul of light that God has given them, because everything in this world seems to be against us. But the issue is, all of those metaphors relate to the same individual soul. You have many gifts that are within us. Your great-grandfather was the greatest mathematician, was the greatest writers, the greatest dancers, the greatest singers, the greatest healers, the greatest prophets. But somehow, we have let all of that go and has taken up an identity of the edits, that greatness is white Moses, white Jesus, what you watched in Technicolor on the big screen, on the silver screen. So we think, no, we should be like this false image, and here we get the icon. And now people want to be like their heroes that they present in these marquees and lights, not knowing the true heroes through all generation and time lives on in us. The principles that Yeshua reminded us of, that Emmanuel reminded us of, was to awake those qualities within us, that we could overcome the lust, the greed, the shame, all of the things that the fallen use to have power over us. That we had peace and love and a great experience of life that didn't cause us to cheat, destroy, and deconstruct to feel that we are at peace. It caused us to maintain, preserve, nurture, and care for. I notice I didn't say construct, because we didn't need to construct. You told me earlier, contentment, being satisfied with what you have, is the beginning of a true wealthy experience.
Yeah, man, and to address the psychological part, you know, we have to pay attention. Pay attention to our feelings, pay attention to our thoughts. Many times we feel a certain way, and the feeling making us start think a certain way.
Absolutely.
So if we pay attention, we can say, okay, this feeling caused the reaction of this thought. So you can just be the observer, you know. Because many things going on in the mind, you know.
True.
So you say, okay, because this happened, a situation happened, you know. Say somebody step on your toe and never say sorry, you know. And the feeling come now of anger and, you know, why this person not even say sorry, you know.
Absolutely.
Come and apologize, you know. So the feeling come, and then angry thoughts, angry thoughts start, you know, be bad things about the people. So we have to pay attention.
True.
Situations
Deeply.
cause feelings, feelings cause thoughts.
Thoughts cause action.
And then, yeah, the thoughts cause action and reaction, you know. So pay attention is important. And reprogramming is important as well. Because as you said from the start, we are being programmed from born, from before we born. Them a program we.
Yes, for real.
So we have to reprogram ourselves completely. Stop watch certain things, you know, aka news.
Documentaries, some documentaries.
Yeah.
Some point of views. It's not the documentaries or the news. It's a bloody point of views.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and
Careful.
the amount of it as well. Because if you're constantly feeding upon fear and negative things coming from the news, then your mind is going to be a state of fear.
Yes.
Forget that peace. You have to distance yourself,
True,
but
true.
still be aware of world events, you know.
Yes, for real.
But don't be caught up in it, that it start give you emotions and feelings and changing your mind and thoughts to negative. You know, have to be careful of the music that we listen to. You know, the movies we watch, the things that we're interested in. We have to be careful that it's not toxic.
True.
We can't watch action movie all day. Whole heap of killing, and you see this whole heap of bloodshed all day. When you close your eye, that's all you're seeing.
Nightmares, man.
Because me see this before, you know, in my own, like if you watch something, and it's like when you close your eye,
Yeah.
it's just a hit a play in front of you.
Yeah, yes, yes.
It's like it burn it an image into
Yes.
your eyes.
Yes, that's why it's imaging. That's where you get imagination from.
True.
Because that image is entering in and you're not thinking about it now. Right? And you're getting ideas from this now. So absolutely. You continue, brother.
Yes, sir. So paying attention and changing our programming into positive programming. Sometimes we have to record things and make music ourselves. To reprogram ourselves. You know?
I
Start
like
to read the Holy Bible. Take up the Bible again, man, you know? Yeah, man, read the Bible again. If we read the Bible 10 times, read it 10 more times. Never stop reading the Bible, you know?
Absolutely.
Because even sometimes me get tired and say, Jano, you know, I read this so much time. But every time I read it, I notice we pick up something else.
True. But I always say just like if you go by it 20 times, 20 more things comes up.
Yes, and repetition make it stick even more. And you remember the stories, you remember the lessons even more.
Because
So you can apply it
Yeah, it's like
because it's
embody.
ready to access.
Yes, yeah.
But if you read it like years ago, it's not so easily accessible.
You never remember it so well for real.
Yeah.
And in
So we have to
essence,
reprogram ourselves with the Bible. As the Bible says, if you read the Bible, it make it a simple man into a wise man. Or the Bible is powerful. It change your simple mind into a wise mind. It reprogram our mind from negative into positive. It teach us our true story and our true place in earth. So we can know where we are coming from, where we are, and where we are going.
it's like as we talk about, you know, that image that burns into our minds. You know, you have a lot of people who, you know, their idea of themselves really did come from, you know, the environment around them. And they never took time to properly, you know, assess how the environment came to be that way. So it's not to say, you know, you're blaming them for the experience of how the identity now shapes the behaviors. Because now, when a person has a certain image in their head, right, and it's designed by the environment, they start embody it. When they start embody it now, you see they start act like the prevailing thoughts. And a lot of us, they don't give us great roles in this life. So we are acting out these prevailing negative ideas. And then we watch, like you said, the movies, this, that, and they say, it's reinforcing the idea. And it seems a bit weird, but then they say to you, no, it's not weird, it's not reinforcing the idea. We're telling you what the experience of these characters are that represent a lot of people. But here it is, you have many individuals within these communities and other communities that have never lived that type of a lifestyle. And now that type of a lifestyle is being glorified, brought to the greater Aboriginal so-called black population, and being told that that little behavior in a segment of our population should now become a mass behavior. So all of a sudden now, the image filling us up now, it was just once in our own avenues. Now we can act like the senseless behaviors of those who are like us, but furthest away from us, furthest away from the situations that make up our identity. So maybe previously our self-identity coming from an environment that wasn't all toxic. Why wasn't it all toxic? Because the people in the environment, just like the narrative, are familiar people, meaning their family and close relations. So there is something about that which still secures your well-being, make you can see yourself with value, meaning you can learn to love yourself based upon the fact of your family and the people around you. But no, that family is now being transposed by the information superhighway that now can bring you an image of yourself or one similar to you with a completely different context of life that now you can buy into. I'm gonna make it clear. You can buy into the idea that I'm a thug, I'm a gangster, I'm a killer. But I'm gonna ask you very carefully, where are you from? Where did your parents grow you? How did your parents grow you? The values you are now taking on because of the music, because of the culture that you have never experienced because you do not live in this garrison, you do not live this depraved existence. Nobody really glorifies this depraved existence where you're from. And it's not because you're religious or what, your parents are decent human beings who have maintained a family environment that is replete with godlike principles. So where are you learning these decrepit behaviors that you don't have your pants hanging all the way down off your crack? Why are you doing that and identifying that as yourself and acting from that inspiration, the behaviors of being hardly able to move? Why are you acting that way, identifying yourself with that, behaving that way, when you did not grow in any environment that supported that? But someone has taken that image, superimpose it on us, called it culture, and it's causing us to rap nonsense, to act nonsense, to behave nonsensical. And the longer we do something, it creates a pattern that creates a pattern that's set, that will become your behaviors. So from what you identify with, you start become identified as. And that's something you cannot escape. So when we're talking about self-awareness, if you are not allowing yourself to look through self-analysis at not just your behaviors, but where they came from, why those in your community act this way, why are these people down in this so-called community acting this way, why are those behaviors from that community being sold to you as right behaviors when obviously it's not real, it's destructive, it's evil. But we are without value. So something has devalued us. Something about what our parents is doing or not doing, what they believe or not believing, something about what the society is reinforcing or not reinforcing, has made us really empty of value. All across this plane, our societies make vast majority of peoples a straw man, an idea on a piece of paper that have taken them away from the skills that their nana taught them, the skills that they have learned as a result of their own experience. That's a part of self-awareness. The fact that you had to go without food for 5 straight days and had to learn how morality and ethics transposes itself as a virtue and as a blessing. Yes, I said it. This is not hocus pocus, and many times the Lord is saying to me, you need to start teaching people about these principles. Yes, it's the behaviors as the last result. The thought process was the first result. It's how you were thinking about the things. It's how you thought about yourself. It's how you thought about others. You have no love or respect for your actual self. So by nature, you will never have respect for anyone else. And especially when they are seen to be less than you see yourself. The desiderata ideology. So we keep measuring ourselves against. But if we would analyze ourselves against the last time we were at this point in our experience. The last time I broke down crying, the last time I tried to have a violent rage, the last time I felt empty. What caused these things? If we were to analyze these things and see that it was the broken commitments that you made to all these false narratives. That's what was causing the pain, that's what caused the suffering, that's what's causing the emptiness. But you persist in straightening your hair. You persist in augmented body modification surgery. You persist in lightening your epidermis. You insist in putting 100 wire into your physical body and say, I am this. I'm a fairy. I am a six-horned demon. I'm everything but you actually are. You're everything that is dark, morose, and destructive. All these images placed before us. The emos, you know, the goths. All these demonic identification. You think this is not having an effect on the destructive behaviors and the self-hate? If you identify yourself with something that is on another plane of existence, that wants to annihilate everything on this plane of existence to feel powerful, my God, that's a power no one should want. We have a crisis in identity, a crisis of self-awareness. And it's not just religious, because you have religious people out there who are thinking that they're God's gift to this world to molest and malign people and destroy and pervert people. You have politicians, government, who thinks that because of their power and their positions, they have a right to decide how entire nations of people live out their destinies. Deciding for entire nations of people what is politically acceptable. Defining what is official language when it is not the language of the people. Saying that your official language is English when English could not be your official language. It could not be no standard bearer of anything. How could we express ourselves in another man's tongue and be with respect and be sovereign? So we're still chattel to a degree. We're still property to a degree. So all the property Aboriginal Israelites here in the Americas and all across the earth need to awake to true self-identity, to stop defining yourself according to the pedantics of your textbooks and the media, the press, the depressing images of beauty presented to you in another race image to make you dislike your own race, your own family, your own narrative. You want to be a gangster in a community that is loving. You want to be manipulative and aggressive and intimidatory to people that are kind and sweet, because that's how gangsters act, man. It's a tug, so I'm a tug. Tall up, man. I'm a tall up. I'm full, you know. And that means you're a man. That's and then some people say that's the warrior spirit transposed to a new image. No, that's just destructive, and that's just evil. They always play that game. The warrior spirit is to protect the family against threat. The warrior doesn't go out every day dressed like a warrior, because what time would you have to preserve family? So don't tell me such nonsense. Don't tell me that my image as the masculine man is to be violent and destructive. And don't tell me about toxic masculinity. And don't tell me about such philosophies. It's nonsense. Don't tell me that's my image. My image is gentle, loving, and kind, subtle in all nature. That is not gender. That is genderless. That is principle. And so when principle applied, you learn that there's a lie going on. Don't buy into it. Discover you. Love your family. Love all the colors of the experience of your existence. Love your family. Love your nation. Love the people who bear the skin like you, who bear the same experiences like you. Learn to love them first, because how can you love who you do not see? But you don't love who you do see. You have a self-identity crisis. You have a problem with this. You have a self-identity crisis. You have a problem with people speaking about Yahshua in a common tongue or ilk or idiom. You got a self-awareness problem. You do not know yourself, because obviously what we are saying is affecting you in the wrong way. You're not aware. That means that you're not firmly rooted in no actuality. It's pure ideology. It's pure belief. And that is why the first time they ask you something, you say Jesus is Lord. and they asked you about your experience, and you couldn't articulate 2 words of what it was like to go through what you went through and come to the point where you are now without saying Jesus is Lord. We know Jesus is Lord. We know Yeshua Mashiach is Lord. We know that Yod He Vav He is God and Creator. There's still wars in the world. There's still pain. There's still suffering. Meaning there's still an existence of which is unique in you. Your identity cannot be a whitewash of someone's statement. Get me clearly. What has life been for you, Brother Singh? Can I narrate for Brother Singh? Can I tell you just because we share a faith? Am I to let Brother Singh speak for me? Are we to speak for you? Self-identity crisis. As you said before when we're coming down, some people just really want to read it in a book. It's easier to believe that that's who we are, right? Brother.
Man, as you mentioned, the young youths, man, yeah, some youths, when I say nowadays, I can't find a smile on them face. Serious, vex, the baddest of the baddest.
True,
you know, and I can recall at a point in life, I used to be like that, you know. I used to have, you couldn't find a smile on my face at one point, you know.
True that.
Because as you say, I was in that gothic kind of thing at one point, you know. Deep, non-emotion, emotionless face, no smile. A smile is a sign of weakness, you know. So when we see the young youths, I say, Johnny, you know.
Wow.
Because, well, in order for me to break out of that, you know, I have to start watch some comedy, you know. Watch some, change it up. Because I hear dark things I used to watch. I mean, I have to change it up to some comedy and thing, man, and say, boy, I'm find a laughter.
Yeah,
and start laugh and, you know, and that's so now it's easy for me to smile. Because I want to reprogram self. Because what we program self into a way where you can't just get up tomorrow and you change like that.
True.
You have to take you have to take steps in order to reprogram self. It might take a year, it might take 2 weeks, it might take 5 years, but you have to take a conscious effort to make a change for the better. You see me?
Serious thing, you know. The process scares some people because they're stuck in relapse and same patterns, you know. But if you again look at yourself in the light of someone else, like through comparison, this is the rata statement, then they don't get it. It's not to do it as fast as Brother Singh did it. It's not to do it as weirdly or whatever as I did it. It's just to do it in your own timing, if you're to do it at all. Because again, self-awareness has to do with the choices one makes and the destiny that comes from the choices. Because some people choose wrongly because they weren't in touch with themselves. So it has caused a different kind of life. And I'm not hitting no one because our channel is offering information. Some people marry to the wrong people. And wrong is relative to not a person's characteristics of whether they're good or bad. It's wrong to not be equally yoked. Your awareness of yourselves wasn't clear enough to realize that you are two separately thinking entities that think in the sameness of your separateness. You ain't thinking union. You're not alike. You're not together. You're separate. And you think separateness. That means that even when you're in one space, she's thinking this way, he's thinking that way. And a lot of these things affect the outcomes of our experiences, right? So, because we weren't really aware, we hung with the wrong people. It's one of the things that happened. It's like the groupings we channel with. And part of our identity is wrapped up in that group. And each group have a reinforcement of its core beliefs and principles. If it is violence, then at some point, if you're in that group, you become violent. If it is withdrawn and, you know, being combative and disagreeable, at some point you bear the disagreeableness. I come from a disagreeable side, hey, so I bear a lot of disagreeableness, a lot of intellects. I have a lot of points and a lot of things. That's why I chat so much. Yeah, I'm very disagreeable. I ain't gonna just agree with you. I examine them and I say, okay, fine, all right, fine. Because I have my own awareness. It's not ego. At one level, if I'm being a bastard, it is ego. On another level, it's self-awareness to know that You're trying to tell me that I live here on this earth and I can't express myself according to what I know or what I don't know or what mistakes I've made? You're telling me I'm not to be aware of myself that much, that I must just accept what you say? No, so challenge me. I ain't you, you ain't me. So don't accept just, oh, they're brilliant. Please. We're talking about true identity and true awareness that affects behavior. You admire some people, you believe that, oh, that's my calling. You might have wasted 15 years of your life doing that. I'm not saying you necessarily did. I'm saying you might have wasted 15 years because you might end up after 15 years wishing very much you had not met that person that day. And you had not listened to them. You had not taken that book from them, that booklet, that pamphlet. You had not gone to their commune. You'd wish that day you'd never gone to that party, right? So I know to a degree what I'm saying. Self-identity and self-awareness, it goes to choices. And the choices comes as your end results, the life you live. Whether you're living in happiness or you're living in misery. Whether you're, truly aware of yourself or you're not aware of yourself. So you're just living unconscious where the things that will be good for you, you don't know them. And the things that are bad for you, you don't know them. So you could encounter each of them at any point and not be able to know which is which. You know, and even as I was relating to that in the context I'm even thinking about this augmented reality now where it's online. Everybody is an avatar in the video game. I know you are the metaverse. And so now you can be whatever you want to be. All of the problems that you have in this world, you can abandon them for a world where you are God and King and can do anything, thinking it has no effect upon you in the real world. These things are taking identity away from individuals and placing it in the hands of programmers, minders, and handlers, people who design the matrix reality, design, these games, these businesses, they are corporations. Dead speak, they are basically businesses. It's just a business, and you are their product. Hey, well, let's see.
True, man, we have to pay attention to these mega corporations who are take advantage of us. And these ads, whole heap of advertisement. Everywhere you look, you see an advertisement of this burger or this chicken. You see me?
It's not even real burger or real chicken.
Exactly.
Not even real beef or real chicken.
And what? People desire them because when you pass the place, the line full. Because them spend millions on advertisement, Because what's subliminal messaging. You see me?
That's
so you
it.
reach your subconscious. Two tools, you say, I feel for a burger.
Yes.
I don't know, a long time I don't have a burger. But when you check it, a 5 burger billboards you pass. That is why you end up feel for a burger by the time you reach up the road.
Also, you're so hungry. Stop eating some chicken. You understand me? I'm going to ask you all along the way what's plucking, what's clucking,
True.
what's fried, what's deep and what's fried. And you just want chicken. It's called surveillance economy, predictive programming, predictive texting, predictive programming. It's like they know that you're going to come and shop Pokemon. They know that you're going to be virtualizing your cyber eyes. They know that you're going to be stream stepping into dimensions because they programmed it into you. They program it into all of us. The reprogramming, as he's been talking about, is about clearing out the clutter of it out of your subconscious and then out of your behaviors. Because self-awareness is teaching you that a lot of your emotional states in imbalance, and some of even the good ones you think are really your own, they are really byproducts of the programming. You do feel a euphoria towards goodness, but your idea of what good is skewed because good is contextualized to you. It's compartmentalized, I should say, but it's the same thing, right? It's not universal. It's not cosmic. Yeah, it's contextual. So we are being augmented into an idea of self. Oh, I'm being aware, and no, you are the sage burning awareness person, right? Or you are the black conscious awareness person, and no, you are the black power, or you're the white privilege, or You are the Asian revolution, whatever you are. But it's an ideology. It still seems to refer to you. It still seems to have some reference to your ancestry. But like I said, the real reference starts, the real actuality starts in the genes, in the bloodline. You have the DNA memory, the heartbeat telegraphics of your great-great-great-grandparents. That's where it is. It's not in that augmentation they're giving you. You know, but they program us. They subtly get down into the subliminal and direct us into saying, when you're black conscious, you should be armed. But yet still, the armed conflict with an enemy who's trained to be armed is going to hurt us. If we do that eye for an eye, we'll all be eyeless, armless, or, you know, have one eye. You know what I mean? So the essence of it is that we have to learn a higher way, and our higher way is already codified within who we are. And the edit that they're placing on us out there every time is to get us to think that when I become self-aware, well, when she becomes self-aware, let's make it dynamic. When she becomes self-aware, she says, she's a black magic sister. She's a white witch of rose walls. You understand me? He's some transhuman cyborg bot something, right? He's robo cyborg, right? He's Janelle Honey, Monu, android cycle.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
come on.
real thing, man. We have to be careful of these self-aware, so-called self-aware delusions. You see me? Delusions of self-awareness.
Like that, brother.
You think you're aware, you think you wake up, you think you're all-knowing, but it's in a deep delusion far from reality.
Trust me.
So have to be careful of that, you know?
And that's where we're going to leave it, Brother Singh, as we just implore you. The true self-identity and self-awareness starts in your family, in your community, in the love of the living God that's manifesting through all that behavior. That's where the true self-awareness is, and self-identity born from that. So love your family, love yourself, love the living God. So until next time, this has been the Great Old Reasonings right here at the Trail Life in the presence of my co-host, Brother Ramon Singh.
Perfect love. Perfect love.